Okay, good morning. I'm Regina Strong. I'm the Environmental Justice Public Advocate in the Michigan Department of Environment, Great Lakes, and Energy, better known as EGLE by many. We have exciting news to share with you this morning. I'm honored to be joined by Flint Mayor Sheldon Neely, WM Great Lakes Area Vice President Aaron Johnson, Kent County Department of Public Works Director Darwin Bass, Detroit-based VMX International founder and CEO, Vicki Lewis, Alpina Mayor Pro Tem and Northeast Michigan Materials Management Authority Chair, Cindy Johnson, and Eagle's Recycling Market Development Specialist, Matt Flechter. Governor Whitmer created the Office of the Environmental Justice Public Advocate in 2019 as an external and internal voice for environmental justice throughout Michigan and to address environmental issues and concerns in communities. We work collaboratively across state agencies to do this proactively. As the Environmental Justice Public Advocate, I also lead the state's interagency environmental justice response team and helped establish the Michigan Advisory Council on Environmental Justice. Achieving environmental justice and intentionally addressing systemic inequities are core elements of my work. And that's why I'm so excited by some of the recycling infrastructure investments that we're announcing today. Investments like these not only are good for the environment, but are good for the people of Michigan. By growing recycling opportunities like the one we're announcing today, we're creating jobs and building strong communities. Equitable access to recycling opportunities is key to Michigan's success in becoming a leader in recycling. Cities like Flint, Detroit, and Grand Rapids should enjoy the same high quality and advanced services as other parts of the state. By expanding and modernizing our recycling infrastructure, that's the key goal of EGLE and the state of Michigan. More efficient and effective recycling collection, processing, and end markets mean jobs for Michigan residents and enhanced quality of life. EGLE stands ready to support the next phase of recycling investments where we can help all residents have convenient, accessible, and equitable access to recycling opportunities across the state. Now, equally important, EGLE and the Whitmer administration are introducing new opportunities to promote recycling, help support our climate change goals, and of course, create new jobs in communities that have been historically underserved by our state. With all that being said, I'm delighted to share some of the highlights we're promoting today as part of this Recycling State of the State press conference. This also coincides with the start of Earth Week 2023 that begins today and continues through April 22nd. But first and most importantly, recycling in the Great Lakes state is now at an all-time high. The total amount of residential recycling materials being reported for fiscal year 2022 was 620,494 tons. That's over 66,000 tons more than the previous new record set last year. The materials Michiganders recycled last year would fill football stadiums at Ford Field, the Big House at the University of Michigan, and of course the Michigan State University Spartan Stadium. This equates to an average of more than 110 pounds per person each year who are recycling their cardboard boxes, milk cartons, plastic bottles, organic materials, and other recyclables. In addition, we are announcing a record-setting combined total of nearly $16 million in grants through public-private partnerships, including funding support for recycling infrastructure investments to help advance projects in Detroit, Flint, Grand Rapids, and Alpena. EGLE's total allocation of almost $16 million in 2023 grants to business, nonprofit, and local government partners in communities across the state is more than Michigan has ever invested in recycling infrastructure and technology, far surpassing last year's record $7 million of investments. The funding is part of EGLE's strategy to support recycling infrastructure, improve the quality of recyclable materials, and promote market development using the Renew Michigan Fund. The Michigan legislature created the Renew Michigan Fund in 2019 to bolster the state's recycling efforts. Governor Whitmer and the state legislature are committed to working with EGLE and raising Michigan's recycling rate to 30% by 2025 and 45% by 2030, exceeding the national recycling rate of 32%. More than $460 million has been invested in recycling for new technology, robotics with artificial intelligence, fleet maintenance improvements, equipment upgrades, and hiring new employees since 2019 in Michigan. Nearly 80% of that investment has come from local government, nonprofits, and businesses across the state, like we're seeing here today with WM, VMX, the City of Flint, Kent County, and Alpena County. This progress represents a bipartisan effort in a historic partnership with the Michigan legislature in combination with the nonprofit sector and business community that Michigan has never really seen happen before. Equally important, EGLE and the Whitmer administration are introducing new opportunities to promote recycling, help support our climate change goals, and create new jobs in communities that have been historically underserved by our state. The grants we're announcing today are part of the largest push in the state history to promote recycling activities that divert materials from Michigan landfills, boost local economies, and support Governor Whitmer's climate change priorities and work toward the 45% recycling goal identified in the Michigan Healthy Climate Plan. EGLE projections show recycling, reuse, and remanufacturing industries in Michigan create 72,500 jobs and contributes more than $17 billion to the state's total economic output. By working together, I am confident we can establish a sustainable, carbon neutral Michigan economy by 2050 and help to build out domestic markets for recycled goods that support key Michigan industries like automotive, construction materials, and paper product manufacturing. While at the same time, we're also preserving the environment for the next generation of Michiganders. Now it is my honor to introduce Flint Mayor Sheldon Neely, who will speak on the EGLE grant his office has received. Mayor Neely?
Yeah, good morning. This is another great opportunity that God has provided us for a great partnership. As you spoke to it, partnerships are the platform to progress, and we have great progress moving in the state of Michigan due to our governor and all of our partners. I'm proud to announce today that from a grant for $1 million from EGLE and another $3 million from our recycling partnership has been given to Flint to be able to help move this progress forward. Let me tell you a little bit about how this is going to work for the residents inside the city of Flint. There are 34,000 households that we have. Each of those households will receive a 96-gallon recyclable cart for their use to be able to help move our communities forward throughout the great state of Michigan. One of the things that we have going now is that the recyclable carts that's provided for the residents inside the city of Flint, they have to furnish themselves, have tops. And so now through this great partnership and these great high-minded legislative moves that's providing dollars for these residents in our communities is giving us the opportunity to give these carts to these great community members. But top going to be great because it's going to be able to bolster our fight on blight. It keeps blight from blowing from the tops of garbage throughout our communities, and it's going to help keep our communities clean on the surface. And so this is a great partnership. I want to thank our partners. I want to thank our governor. I want to thank EGLE and the recycling partnerships for these dollars to be moved in position to be able to help residents. And that's what it's all about here in the state of Michigan, helping people. This great step forward. And so as we continue to move forward, we want to make sure that we do all the necessary things and provide these high-minded dollars for the assistance of residents throughout our great state. Now back to you.
Good morning. I want to first congratulate Mayor Neely and the city of Flint, along with Alpena and Kent counties on winning their grant awards. Congratulations. I think we're all moving in the same direction towards a more sustainable tomorrow. At WM, we're leveraging our infrastructure, our innovation and expertise, and we're setting a bold sustainability vision for the future. one where material is repurposed, where energy is renewable, and where communities are thriving. Our intent with this investment is to position Detroit as the recycling hub for further sustainability progress in the state of Michigan. We are committed to the environment, the Detroit community, and increasing access to recycling infrastructure. When complete, this will be the most state-of-the-art and most efficient recycling plant across the state of Michigan. We've invested over $1 billion in the last decade on recycling infrastructure, and over the next 3 years, we plan to invest about $2.2 billion towards renewable energy production and recycling infrastructure. Recycling is perhaps the most important service WM provides to help our customers reduce emissions and environmental impact. By recycling materials, we help our customers to avoid greenhouse gas emissions by preventing the mining and manufacturing of products from virgin materials. Therefore, the more we can recycle, the more materials we can keep in the circular economy and the more emissions we can avoid. Along with creating greater opportunity for residential recycling program growth and optimization across the state, this new Detroit MRF is expected to create an estimated 50 new careers directly and hundreds of careers indirectly at manufacturers. WM also anticipates that it'll provide Michigan businesses with the ability to expand upon their existing commercial recycling programs while creating opportunities for Michigan manufacturers to acquire recycled content to use in the making of new goods. This new facility is more than just a Detroit solution. This is a true hub and spoke model intended to open opportunities for recycling across the state of Michigan. Once opened, our next steps will be to activate existing transload facilities in places like Traverse City, Kalamazoo, Tawas, Saginaw, Lansing, which will unlock the potential for curbside single stream recycling program for all residents. Outside the major metropolitan areas in Michigan today, most businesses only have the option to recycle cardboard. With this new hub and spoke approach, all businesses will have the option for single stream recycling, which will include glass, metal, plastic, and paper. WM looks forward to continued collaboration with EGLE, the City of Detroit, and other local communities as we look to cultivate circularity and build a more sustainable tomorrow in our great state. Thank you very much.
Oh, yes.
Good morning, everyone. Yeah, sorry for the disconnect. Kent County has a bold goal to reduce our waste going to landfill by 90% by the year 2030. It'll take tremendous investment in recycling and materials management to be able to meet that goal in the next 5 to 6 years. We're grateful to EGLE for the support that they've provided in funding in a number of ways. Our Recycling Education Center, we process recyclables for Kent County and many communities around us. And like so many companies, we're experiencing the same thing around labor shortages and the increased cost of labor. So we applied for a grant, and EGLE is funding the installation of robotic sorters at our recycling center. And the original grant was to be for 2 robotic sorters, but fortunately, with improvements in technology and reducing costs, we're able to actually install 3. Another important project that we're working on, funded by EGLE, is a new cardboard baler for our North Kent transfer station. We serve much of Northern Kent County from that facility, and as part of a larger $15.9 million investment to bring additional recycling resources and drop off for residents living in that area. Finally, Kent County is partnering with EGLE on a project that will fundamentally change how we manage waste in Kent County. We currently operate the South Kent landfill. It's due to be full here in just a few years. We just broke ground on our last cell that's being constructed this year. And we've been working for nearly 10 years on a new solution here for Kent County so that businesses, residents have a better way to move material into a value stream. The Sustainable Business Park is that solution, and we've been working toward the final stages of design to be able to make that facility a reality. We hope to have approval later this year to open and break ground on the Kent County Bioenergy Facility that will radically change and move so much more material into a value stream instead of landfill. So EGLE has come alongside us early to work with us on infrastructure development needed for the business park, and we're so pleased to be a part of that. Now I'll turn it over to our friend on the other side of the state, our Detroit-based VMX International founder and CEO, Vicki Lewis.
Thank you, Dar. I appreciate that. So good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to speak to you today. VMX International is the recipient of a $100,000 small business development grant from EGLE. VMX is headquartered in the city of Detroit. We're 22 years old. I'm a local Detroiter, went to Cooley High School and graduated from Davenport College. Excuse me. We're excited about this grant because it gives us an opportunity to continue the work that we're doing. We work across the nation to bring proper recycling and disposal services ranging from office paper to batteries. This grant will support our plan to build a $50 million lithium ion battery recycling facility for the automobile. We expect to create 50 to 75 full-time jobs, which are high-paying, high-tech jobs. And we're also committed to hiring returning citizens or citizens who have been involved with the justice system. That means that people returning from prison will have an opportunity to create new futures in the recycling industry. Our facility is stated to open in 18 to 24 months. We're looking at 2 sites currently that we're considering for our home. One is on the west side of Detroit, and the other, we found a small area for industrial near Midtown. So we're excited about that. We will be bringing in lithium ion batteries that we collect, and we will separate, we will dismantle, and we will evaluate for second life and then shred so that we can retrieve the rare earth materials that's in these batteries. Then those batteries and those rare earth materials will go back into manufacturing new batteries, contributing to the circular economy. We'd like to thank Next Cycle and the entire EGLE team for considering us for this grant. Next Cycle worked with us closely so that we can really craft out our vision and submit the grant application. I couldn't be more honored to receive this grant from EGLE. It confirms our vision for the state, for the city of Detroit, to create a cleaner, greener, more sustainable city. So thank you very much. Now, we'll hear from Cindy Johnson, Alpena Pro Tem Mayor.
Thank you, Vicki. Your project in Detroit sounds amazing. Alpena County has received a $2.7 million grant from the U.S. Department of Agriculture. Critical to our success was the support received from EGLE that was championed by U.S. Senator Debbie Stabenow. This federal grant will help our new proposed $5.4 million regional dual-stream material recovery facility make it a reality. I know Senator Stabenow wanted to join us at this press conference this morning, but she unfortunately had a scheduling conflict that could not be avoided. But she did send a statement to us that I will share with you now, and I quote, "Thank you for the opportunity to be a part of today's event. I want to congratulate all the community leaders involved for their hard work and persistence in making this project a reality. And thank you to the state leaders who have made such an important investment in this facility. This is truly a team effort. Recycling is such an important part of reducing solid waste, and I applaud all of those involved for their innovative approach and efforts to create a model that meets the needs of Northeast Michigan. I am very proud to be your partner in this effort." And that's the end of her quote. And I couldn't have said it better myself. Our new facility will process recyclables from Alpena County and Northeast Michigan. This project, which received a $1 million grant last year from EGLE, will serve as a model for rural recycling throughout Michigan and the United States. The new facility will provide the capacity and capability of bringing materials from a 6-county region, the majority of which is currently destined for landfills, to a processing facility where recycling materials will be sorted and sold to Michigan manufacturers for use as recycled content in their packaging or products. Alpena's current material recovery facility no longer meets the growing needs of the area. The operating conditions are unsafe, the equipment is insufficient to meet the growing volume, and the site has no room for expansion. Our goal is to cost-effectively meet the state waste diversion targets, preserve remaining landfill space, and meet the residents' demand. This project will support meeting statewide goals of achieving a 45% waste diversion rate, reduce reliance on existing landfills, saving valuable remaining space, reduce greenhouse gas, and support the equivalent of 23 full-time jobs compared to landfilling the material in the first 5 years of operation. And ultimately, we will generate 49 jobs if the state goal of 45% is met. We are also announcing today that Alpena is pursuing a new $1.1 million federal grant from the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency. EGLE and Senator Stabenow once again serving as our champions to help Alpena win the award from the EPA. If we are approved, that would complete the funding package we need to begin work on this important and long overdue project. We should know EPA's decision by summer or early fall. So we hope to have more good news to share with you regarding recycling in the Thunder Bay region later this year. Thank you, and now let's hear closing statements from EGLE's Matt Flechter.
Thank you, Cindy. It's exciting stuff. And congratulations to all the EGLE grant recipients with us here today. These are just a handful of the over 67 EGLE grants. And we're proud to support this. It represents business, community projects to grow recycling markets, access, and infrastructure. And I love recycling data. It's really important that Michigan track and measure our progress so that we can continue to efficiently deploy financial and technical resources to see such remarkable progress toward achieving our goals. And that's why we do an annual analysis of opportunities and gaps as part of our Next Cycle Michigan initiative. Michigan has steadily increased its recycling rate from what was historically the lowest in the Great Lakes region. The rate has risen from 14% prior to 2019 to 19% last year and now exceeds 21%. We are well on our way to returning Michigan to a national leader in recycling. And I'm personally most proud of the growth in the amount of recyclables that are making their way into new products made here in Michigan. Over the past decade, Michigan has nearly doubled the annual amount of recycled materials that is not being buried in a hole in the ground forever. We're having a lasting impact. We're also proud to report that 3 out of 4 residents now have access to recycling in their communities. Recently, the updated solid waste laws, known as Part 115, will almost certainly get us to the goal of 100% access in the coming years as communities work on materials management plans to ensure convenient access to recycling. And since 2021, EGLE and the Recycling Partnership have rolled out over 48,000 new curbside recycling carts to communities around the state. It seems every day we are seeing more recycling carts at the curb, like the rollouts currently underway in Bay City, Marquette, and soon Flint. Equally impressive, 4 in 5 Michiganders report taking action by changing their recycling behavior for the better following EGLE's launch of the national award-winning Know It Before You Throw It campaign featuring the Recycling Raccoon Squad. No one knows more about trash and recycling in Michigan than the Recycling Raccoons. We know Michiganders believe in recycling and support it, but many recyclers don't know how to do it properly. The squad teaches people the specifics on how to recycle correctly, and we're seeing the results. More material is making its way from the curb into new products than ever before. The Know It Before You Throw It campaign with the Recycling Raccoons has been a game changer for Michigan. Thank you. That's going to conclude our virtual press conference this morning. I know our panel will be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thanks, everybody, and sorry about that technical glitch. We've already got a lot of questions in the queue. We'll start with Carol Thompson from the Detroit News. Carol, do you want to just fire off your question to, I believe, with WM and Aaron?
I do, thank you. It's actually a question for both EGLE and WM. So there's a coalition of residents in Detroit and Hamtramck who oppose the placement of this facility, MRF, in their neighborhood. They're concerned about truck traffic and say that this makes their neighborhood like a dumping ground for the rest of the state. And they just feel like they've been kind of left out of conversations about this facility. I hoped you could respond to their concerns and talk about how EGLE and WM plan to address those issues. Thank you.
Yeah. So what I'd say to that is, one, we've recently engaged in some local community conversations. We've had a couple open house forums. We've heard what some of their concerns are. As far as the truck traffic goes, this is right on an exit of I-94. We actually won't be traveling through any neighborhoods to gain access to our plant. So we won't drive by one home when they enter or when they exit to get back on the freeway. And, I think there's been a bad misrepresentation, I think, in this area that maybe we're replacing the former incinerator when we're not associated with that at all. That was bringing waste into the neighborhoods and it had air emissions. This is recycling materials that doesn't have odors. We won't create any negative air emissions. So completely different, not associated with the former incinerator at all. So no, we think we're addressing all the concerns on an individual basis.
And Matt, do you
Carol,
want to also reply on EGLE's behalf to that question?
I'd be happy to add to that. Yeah. You heard I mentioned the Part 115 amendments. And what that does is it adds an additional layer of regulatory oversight that has not existed in the past. And what we've found is that we really need to level the playing field between waste and recycling and make sure that we have good systems in place around the state. We've spent far too many years filling holes in the ground, making more and more landfills. Having that community engagement to see how they can be involved in making sure that the facility is good for their community is really important to us, and as well as making sure that we get less landfills around the state.
Hey, Steve Carmody, you're up next, sir. Do you want to direct who you want to answer your question?
No, I'll just throw it out there to anybody. What's the biggest challenges going forward that you see that have to be overcome?
Matt, do you want to take it first, and then we'll let others speak on that question as well?
Oh my gosh. So I've been doing this for 23 years, so I could go on and on about the challenges. So really thinking about education, one of the things that we did first is we created the recycling education campaign, the Note Before You Throw It campaign. And what that does is make sure that the quality, the materials that you put in the curbside bin are it's done correctly, because really there's no sense recycling anything if it doesn't have an end market. And if it's not clean, if it's not the right material, then it's not going to make its way into that supply chain, creating those jobs that we want to see in Michigan. So it really starts with education. Second, it's access. As I mentioned, 3 and 4 residents in Michigan have convenient access to recycling. Our goal is to have 100% access. We can't just educate you about how to recycle if you don't have it in your community, if you don't have a drop off, if you're living in an apartment complex that doesn't have access. So thinking about those different ways. And along with that, it's really commercial recycling. Really about a third of our material is third to a half is coming from the commercial sector. It's not just at your house, it's at your school, it's at your hospitals, it's at your office. And so thinking about those different ways to grow recycling. And then finally, markets. Michigan is really attracting a lot of interest around the country. Recycling robots and new innovative technologies are coming to Michigan because we've really set the conditions for those businesses to thrive. We were low hanging fruit. We were not the leaders, and so now you can really get a good bang for your buck in Michigan if you invest here because of the lack of progress we had in the past. And that's why we're moving forward so quickly now. We're seeing those changes because of those investments.
Andy Miniger from Mears.
Yes. Yeah, thank you, Mike. So anybody who'd like to answer it, are there any plans to place a deposit on all plastic bottles, just rather than the carbonated, as well as any discussion of raising a dime deposit? Has there been any of that going on?
Regina, I'm happy to take that one as well if you'd like, if you have anything to add to that one. So it's a perennial conversation. It happens. I don't think I've seen a legislative session that hasn't had a bill to expand the deposit law to additional containers or even eliminate the deposit law. So I think there's always going to be that conversation. What we're doing in Michigan is making sure that we have convenient, cost-effective, and comprehensive recycling for all Michigan residents, and that would include the beverage containers. And so we're open to any conversations that the legislature wants to have about that. And so I think it will continue. I think those conversations will continue.
Okay. And as a follow-up to Aaron Johnson of WM, I was wondering if the new recycling plant that you guys are planning has the clients to take the material that you guys will be creating, and as well as any of the other recycling for Matt.
Yeah, so look, we can collect and transport any material that anybody or any business generates. What you always have to have is somebody on the back end who wants to buy those materials after they've been processed and sorted out. So yes, we've directly engaged with the Michigan Manufacturing Association to find manufacturers who are looking for certain content to blend into the making of new goods. Let's use plastic as one of the examples. So rigid plastic sometimes have a hard home to find. We found a manufacturer right here in the state of Michigan in Grand Rapids, Cascade Engineering. So they buy plastic from WM and they make what is called an eco cart. Now I hope the city of Flint will buy 30,000 recycle carts for their residents from a Michigan company. And so what happens is we engage the manufacturers like Cascade. They buy plastic from us. They make new 96-gallon carts that's got 20% recycled content in a new container that comes from our plants. We have customers like Otsego Paper on the west side of the state. They're a box and paper manufacturer. We handle their waste streams to their customer, but they're also a vendor. And we hope with this new MRF, we'll be able to sell back to our customers some of the commodities that we've collected and process so they can blend it in to the new goods that they manufacture. So the answer is yes to your question.
Terrific. Thanks, Andy. Kelly House, you're up next. And I know this question is going to go to Matt Flechter. So Kelly, if you want to pose your question, I'm sure Matt will have an answer.
Yeah, thanks. I was just wondering, actually, I have two questions. Mayor Neely, I didn't quite hear, I don't know if it was on my end or your end, but I think you were saying that folks currently have to pay for those carts and will not in the future. Can you just reiterate that, because I missed it? And then my question for EGLE is, can you just explain in detail how the recycling rate is calculated?
Right.
Thank
Well,
you.
more so to, yes, if you can hear me. So that the carts that we have provided for the residents currently now does not come at a free, as a free part of what we do as far as our recycling program. And we have done a lot of recycling inside the city of Flint, as you can imagine. But through these high dollars that's being provided by EGLE and our recycling partners, I just want to thank them. Our community is so blessed because, we're not left behind because we don't have the necessary resources to put forth $4 million for this type of initiative. But we're going to be at the cutting edge and leaders throughout the state of Michigan as it relates to recycling, because when you have low to moderate income areas, much like Flint and Saginaw or some parts of Detroit and other places, these levels of investment takes a lot of money. And so this gives us a great kickstart to be able to take on a serious issue that waste. And so we definitely have to have a serious answer, and providing this initial recycling program for residents of the city of Flint. 34,000 residents inside the city of Flint will receive these 96-gallon recyclable carts. And so this is going to change the face of how we do business inside the city. But the current carts that we currently have now are maybe 8-gallon carts, small carts, that was placed out there, and they were not at a free cost to the residents initially. And that was before that I'm the administrative leader of our community. So it was not a free cost. And so now we have an assessment for waste collection, and that includes the recycle carts. And so, but this gives us an opportunity to leap really out there to the cutting edge of what we're doing for recycling. And this is going to help Michigan and other places. I'm so proud to be the tip of the blade as it relates to communities like Flint and other places in the state of Michigan because of this high-minded initiative. $1 million from me, $3 million from our other partners. This is a great initiative, and the governor and everybody alike like thinking this is a wonderful thing. And so I hope that answered your question.
Thank you, Mayor Neely. Matt, can you speak to the
Yeah.
recycling rate methodology without going on to a PhD level? Try to keep it.
Yeah, for sure. I can do that, Mike. Thanks, Kelly. Yeah, Michigan uses a standard EPA methodology, which includes the total amount recycled and composted divided by the total amount recycled, composted, landfilled, and incinerated. The specific materials in the recycled and composted list are food waste, yard clippings, bottle deposit containers, and then the curbside paper, metal, glass, and plastic. We also add in some tires that are recycled, e-waste, and textiles. So it's really the materials that you would recycle at a business or at a hospital or at a university or at your house, what those typical recyclable materials are. And then we take that and divide that by the total amount disposed.
Can I just really quick follow up? I'm so sorry, but
Sure. Okay.
And for the landfill portion, are we talking about waste sent to Michigan landfills or Michigan waste sent to landfills?
Michigan waste sent to landfills. So what we do is we take the annual solid waste landfill receipt report. So we back out the 22% or whatever the number is this year that came in from out of state. So we're not including that. So it's what Michigan businesses and residents generate. And then that's the generation number. It's the landfilled, incinerated, recycled, and composted. And we divide that by paper, metal, glass, and plastic, and beverage containers, textiles, that sort of thing.
Thanks, Matt. John Hewitt, WWJ, our good friend. You have a question? I'll put this out there because John may be muted, but he says, define what you mean, please, in layman's terms, what a carbon neutral Michigan economy actually means toward that year 2050 goal. Regina, do you want to start out on that one? What does a carbon neutral Michigan economy actually mean?
So it means we're no longer adding to the carbon in the atmosphere. No new carbon is being generated. It means we've reduced to the point where it is negligible impact on our environment. So I'll start with that. Matt, I don't know if there's anything you'd like to add.
So Emily Freeman and I were just texting back and forth to figure out where the definition was, and it actually is written out really nicely in the My Healthy Climate Plan. So I think the link might be in the chat. There's a definition, a little paragraph in there that describes what a carbon neutral economy is.
And then to the Mayor Neely and to Matt, Chris Hall from the Detroit Free Press is asking, will there be additional costs or fees to residents for these additional recycling initiatives? For example, those who receive new bins in Flint, or businesses that will be able to recycle more items in the future in other parts of the state. Fees they are not currently paying. If so, what would those additional costs or fees for residents be? Matt, we'll start with you. And then if Mayor Neely or Matt, if you could also speak to, I think the understanding from the presser today is that through grant funding from EGLE and the recycling partnership, as it relates to Flint, curbside recycling carts will be provided for free to all single family households in the city of Flint. Can you guys confirm that?
Yes, there's no additional cost for the foreseeable future for residents inside the city of Flint. And that's throughout this year and then the coming year. This program will definitely be a benefit to the city of Flint and not at an additional cost to our residents inside the city.
And Matt, if you and Regina could speak to it from a statewide perspective, is EGLE looking
sure.
to raise any fees or any kind of increased billing?
Yeah, I'd happy to answer that. So one thing that I've been watching trending nationally and in the state is a steady increase in the costs what people pay to send their trash to a hole in the ground. So we're seeing those costs go up. So people are spending more and more money to bury something forever. And so what we want to do is we want to shift those costs. So we want to see those expenses that instead of spending money on liners and making sure that we're inspecting these landfills to make sure that they don't leak forever, that we're instead spending that amount of money, that money instead on recycling opportunities to continue those materials circulating in the economy. And so your specific question, is there going to be a cost? There's a cost to get something picked up at the curb. There's always going to be a cost to get something. Somebody's going to come to your house and carry something away for you. Our goal is to make those costs as low as possible with the most efficient programs possible. And so that's one of the things that we are investing in through these grants, is we're making sure that there's a steady, stable funding mechanism at the local level, providing that technical assistance to make sure that those costs are most efficiently collected. And then something that's really exciting that's happening across the country now is more people are coming to the table to invest in the recycling program. So thinking about the brands that are making the products that you're buying every day, they now know that they need to set up a system so they can get that paper, metal, and glass and plastic back into their products so they reduce their climate impacts. So now they're starting to bring new money to the table, which is pretty exciting.
Thanks, Matt. We're at the 11:15 mark. I'm going to sign us off here. If anybody else in the reporters have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. My cell phone is on the media advisory. You also have my email address. We'll be putting out a press release in just a few minutes after the conclusion of this press conference that'll include a link embedded in the press release, so that if your readers or viewers want to, or listeners want to catch the press conference today, they'll be able to do so after the fact. Thanks again. We'll talk to you soon.